Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jules Gill, here for WhatCultureGaming.com, and I'm joined as ever by my own Alter Bridge baby that is Scott Telford.
Hello.
Now,
Kojima things.
I know, you have to stay calm right now.
Yes.
So, Death Stranding has just put out an 8-minute trailer. It was over 8 minutes, actually, and we finally have some understanding of what the hell this game
Complete
actually
understanding.
is. Now, I personally wasn't too fussed on this before I saw this because I thought, oh, it looks a bit pretentious, it's a bit wanky, classic Hideo Kojima stuff.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, were sold on just the name alone.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus with a fetus. That was you were in on
Norman Fetus. Yeah, I'm getting for that.
But now we actually have some details. I am so incredibly excited for this.
You've done such a 180 on it, but we can.
That's fine. That's exactly what video games should do. This has got me finally invested. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down everything that was in the trailer that came out, plus a few little tidbits that came out from sort of pre-orders and on their site itself. And we're going to try and help you, yes, you at home, understand what the is going on with Death Stranding.
So I think you've kind of got to scour a lot of the overall product listings. There's stuff on the PlayStation Store, there's stuff on the official Death Stranding website. You can also zoom in on various badges that characters have. People realize that the dog tags that Norman Reedus has on have equations on that point to different scientific theorems and whatever. But the thing that you need to know, the base thing that I think we can outline at this point, is that the game is half survival and half third-person shooter.
Yes.
Which they showed the gameplay in the trailer. But the thing,
quite an exciting bit of gameplay actually, because it's always a bit worrying when you see for the longest time just images of him walking.
With his big backpack on.
Yeah, you think, like, is that just like a tech thing? But actually seeing it in context now, we've seen some shooting, we've seen some ladder basing, we've seen...
That's a hell of a ladder.
So we've seen, I know, the guy from Dark Souls 2, the one that sells you the ladder, he has got nothing compared to this. And also we saw some grappling going down as well. We don't see any sort of him foraging for foods and berries, thank God, because we've had enough of them in survival games, but we have seen, like you say, lots of building and world shaping.
So we do, he has a bike which looks a lot like Kaneda's bike from Akira.
It is so cool.
Yes, so to outline the plot, you play as Sam Porter Bridges, that's his full name. He's like a government agent who works alongside the president. And the president's called Bridget, she's the first female president.
Bridges and Bridget.
Yeah, forms this company called Bridges. The whole idea of Bridges is to bring people back together. The idea being that in this post-apocalyptic future, America itself is fractured. It's the United Cities of America. You have to zoom into the badge to find that. But it seems like this ties in with what Kojima put on Twitter, that people in this world have learned to live separately. They all have walls around themselves, almost like Attack on Titan style. And your role is basically to bring people back together, either by transporting items or meaningful characters or whatever.
Now you might be thinking to yourself, why would this happen? Why would they separate themselves into this? But that's because there's some unknown force. Either it's like a raiding force or raiding party that is stealing technology from people who are trying to deliver. Maybe they're living out in the wilderness, but there is an overarching evil or event or...
Oh, I know what it is.
It's like dead people, isn't it? And also an electrical storm that freezes birds. It's absolutely batty. But do you have any explanation?
Yeah, totally. So this was in the second trailer. You have to go back to the second trailer. The second or the third, the one that begins with Norman Reedus talking about explosions. Right. Basically says at the beginning of time, we had the first explosion that gave birth to life as we know it and the universe as we know it. Why would that be the only explosion? Why couldn't there be something else? And so this is the next explosion, which throws time and life itself out of whack and starts to bring us closer to the fact that there is this underground upside-down realm, which is confirmed in the PlayStation Store write-up. Says that whenever you die in the game, there's no game over state, you just go to this underground, they literally call it an upside-down realm. Well, you have to fight your way back to the reality again.
We actually saw that happen because in the gameplay snippet that we got, he falls over and he gets dragged what appears to be underground, but we see a sort of burrowing sort of thing, and then it ends. So I assume that burrowing thing might be either a loading screen taking him into this sort of other world, or it might just be a thing of it throws you back to a certain point.
So those things that grab you, they refer to them as BTs, but if you go on the official write-up, they're called beached things. Beached things refers to this real-world phenomenon called cetacean stranding, which is
all the whales and stuff like that.
It's like a phenomenon in real life where sharks and whales will throw themselves onto beaches and just die, and it's a phenomenon because no one knows why so many en masse choose to kill themselves so much. But in the state that they're in this like stranding place in between life and death, and it seems to be where he's taken the name from. So that the underground, the demons and stuff, seems to represent the idea that all the atrocities committed by humankind mind still exists somewhere. We still have this, build-up of things to be cashed in on or whatever.
Kind of like the pain from...
kind of like that, yeah. And you kind of get that with like the skull iconography, or like the fact that you have all these like spirits and demons trying to claw humanity back. And so like it kind of goes alongside the idea of trying to heal humanity in real time in the real world, but then you have all this history that's sort of trying to drag us down and trying to bring us back.
So maybe the
bad stuff.
Maybe the plot will be dealing with if Sam can actually bridge humanity together. Maybe that will repair and fight back the BT.
Well, I think it's all
the event that's going on.
Yeah, I think it's all connected. Also, the babies, and we get a name for them. They're called Bridge Babies.
Which I think is so cute.
It's a nice little term. You get a little pre-order one.
I was just about to say I don't ever want a plushie.
No, but
what you're effectively buying is a homunculus.
A little bit,
and that's not nice.
Do you want a baby in the corner of the room?
No, I don't.
I do love that it lights up, and Kojima was like, it's a nice party piece, or like something for the corner of your room, and I'm like, what party are you hosting, Dexter?
God,
but yeah, so we have Norman Reedus, trying to reunite America, trying to bring the cities of America back together. All the while, this supernatural phenomenon, kind of based in science or whatever, the idea of a Big Bang style thing repeating has happened. Then we have the villains. We have Troy Baker, who plays Higgs, who I think represents the Higgs boson in just pure chaos. He represents this sort of evil mercenary faction called the Homo Demons, which is spelled D-E-M-E-N-S, Homo Demons, well, that's a reference to a 1973 poem, whose name of the dude I forgot the name of, by Edgar Morin, who wrote this whole poem about human nature back in 1973.
Okay.
And referred to us as Homo Demons, which is madman, it's madmen. And the idea that we're wired to be insane regardless. And the idea that, communities and social hierarchy and anything that represents niceness is just this weird freak, and it's not actually what we're meant to be doing.
And speaking about Mads, we can
Go
talk
on.
about Mads himself.
We can,
Hey,
so...
look at that segue.
That's the whole thing. So he appears in the underground. Now I think the underground, where the sort of demon realm, we see World War I style flashback stuff. You can get that from the tanks and the weapons that they have.
Are you sure that it's World War I?
Could be one or two, I guess. The tanks are definitely World War I, but the M1 Garans are way more like World War II.
But then again, we saw in the trailer he lights a cigarette and puts it on the oil field or the water lights, and the guns they're using there are definitely...
They're way more modern, yeah. I that's my thing though. I think that whole underground realm, and especially what he represents, is just the inevitability of the cost that's been accrued over lifetimes of war. I think that's what he falls into.
Okay, I'm just going to ask this once.
Go on.
Do you think that there's any sort of time travel mechanic in this?
No, but I think it's just alternate dimensions, or the idea of just life and death. Because I think Mads Mikkelsen's character, Cliff, he's shown being the person who creates the babies, the bridge babies. He seems to be the one that stumbles onto the fact that we can communicate with the dead. And the craters as well, that Troy Baker's the villain mentions, the craters that keep popping up. That's apparently what happens when you die in the game. When you die, you rupture reality and you go to the underground and you have to climb your way back out again. So in the trailer, when I think it's Norman Reedus references the fact that when people get killed, craters are left everywhere. It's literally because the world itself is being damaged and being irreparably left behind.
So we are basically entering in this in-game world at the point of almost no return.
Yeah.
So this is like the last-ditch effort.
Well, that's what.
In fact, we actually see that Bridget is ill. She's bedridden. So again, it's like another reference that humanity is dying.
Yeah, totally. And it's
and I've noticed that every single character is either covered in scars or has some sort of like it's being attacked in some way. So again, it's fractured.
They've got a lot to do with like birth and reproduction and like different sort of like gender roles in society or sex roles in society, which Kojima's played with before. The idea of like with the boss, it was like wearing her sort of the what do you call the thing? When you have the birth too early. What's the word for the scar?
Oh, cesarean.
Cesarean scar. Yeah. Wearing that sort of proudly like on her. It's kind of part of her. We see Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus both have those scars. But I think that's just a visual metaphor for if you've completely lost track of, if you're no longer connected to the real life, you live in the underworld and you have this scar to say that you can never reproduce. You can't carry anything else on. It's the way that Kojima would think.
To be honest, there is so much depth from this, and like a lot of people will be watching this this trailer, and if you haven't seen it, please go check it out, because it's
none of this will make any sense.
It's the closest thing that I can say to video games being art as a sort of thing, because the way
I would argue they all are, but yes.
The way that it was shot, the way that it was done all the time was amazing.
We could talk as well. The last thing is the multiplayer.
Now this really like shook.
I think this is brilliant. But go on.
I don't know. Like for me, the way that it was like pitching itself as being this sort of one person alone, isolated. For some reason, I just assumed that it would be a single player experience because it felt natural. but having this multiplayer aspect in, it changes the entire tone of the game for me.
Well, okay, so to clarify, we're referring to it as multiplayer. It's more asynchronous multiplayer in that other Norman Reeduses, other couriers can explore this open world and forge paths to different cities or whatever. And the way that it's described on the PlayStation Store, it just says that if another player has managed to get somewhere where you couldn't, it's therefore easier for you to get there. So you're working together to conquer the whole open world. It doesn't sound like you're seeing another player. I think it's more that
kind of like the Dark Souls thing where you can leave messages.
A little bit, yeah. And
so for example, if we were to use that ladder thing as an example, maybe if somebody's got the big ladder and was able to get this thing, but you don't have the big ladder, maybe they'll be like, oh, here's a.
I think there'll be a way to say like a remnant that just sort of says, look, someone already got here, and that makes it easier for you to attach to it or something. I don't know. But the thing that Kojima stressed, especially at the beginning of development, was that Death Stranding is all about sticks and ropes. Because he talked about ancient sort of man, like ancient humans at the beginning of time. And the first thing that this is like based on some philosophical assumptions or whatever, that the first thing we would have made was a club to keep things away.
Yep.
The next thing we made was a rope to bring things together. And he wanted to make a whole game about the value of ropes, both metaphorically and literally. So the idea that different players can forage to get to places first makes it easier for someone to come after them. And you're meant to appreciate that overall.
I mean, to be fair, you can sort of see that we've kind of gone off the rails a bit with humanity because it's a club to keep people away, and then like fire and rope and stuff like that. And then in between those 2 points, now we've ended up with a banana holder that can keep your banana fresh for 2 days.
So, but just do you not want one of them in the post-apocalypse?
Not really.
Pre-order bonus?
I hope that's not what he's delivering. If he's delivering a cucumber or banana holder, then I'm out. But still, actually speaking of the pre-order things, that was another thing that I was a little bit, air quotes, shook by. Because of the fact that it gives you the pre-order gold glasses and golden legs and stuff like that. Like, maybe, is this meant to be Kojima having a bit of a piss take on us? Basically just saying like, look, listen, there's some pre-order and it's absolute
Well, if Sam's role in the game, Norman Reedus' role, is to transport items of great importance from one civilization to the next, or one area to the next, someone will have put a pair of very valuable shades into there to get to the next area. Yeah. And they're like, look, this is what I need, this is the thing I need to get to the next place.
Weird and really, like,
but it's totally him lampooning America.
It's all like superfluous stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what's interesting is we did get to see a bit of the combat as well. Like when Sam was trying to evade these men in yellow, do we know what their names are yet?
They're called the USC, I think.
Okay.
Or the UCS.
They had quite an interesting approach to try and taking him down. They were trying to batter him with these electrified sticks and get there. Like didn't seem to be any guns, but that links back to something else, which is not making too much noise because apparently that triggers the dead people.
Yeah, it seems like I mean that's the whole thing. Like Reedus kind of puts his hand over his mouth. We saw this in one of the older trailers. That whatever the beached things are, like in reality, whether they're sort of demons and spirits that just want to drag you down, they seem to be activated by motion and noise. But Norman Reedus very rarely activates them in the cutscenes. It just seems to be like if you mess up in real time. But yeah, you do have that two halves to the game. You've got the survival stuff in real time, and then the more shooter heavy stuff where you get dropped into the military side of things in the underworld. And it's kind of half and half. It's like one half is a stealth game, survival game. The other half seems to be more action focused. The combat itself looked a lot like Phantom Pain in terms of the camera angle and the way that it was moving.
You can see that there was a lot of the same engine that was used in terms of the animation and stuff like that.
It's not the same engine, but
it was the same. They've done a lot of work with Phantom Pain. You can see that.
Carried a lot of it across.
Come across from that. I really enjoyed the kinetic feel of the punches.
Yeah.
I like it when games do that sort of like almost like pause
slow-mo
just before you hit something. I thought that was great. To be honest, I'm looking at this game and I'm so excited because I feel like, thanks to your amazing breakdown, by the way, that I now know
Kojima Pro.
Now I know even more about this game, and I am very excited to see how it shapes up. And obviously, if anything else comes up, we will be sure to notify you straight away, because in case you hadn't noticed, Scott's a bit of a fan.
I'm planning on doing literally every article and podcast and video from now until it's released on Death Stranding. So
amazing.
Keep with us.
Amazing. Yeah, so for more stuff like this, stay tuned, subscribe to WhatCulture Gaming, and follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at RetroJ with a 0, and...
Oh, I'm over at /LP89 sentences.
Yes.
I nailed it.
Well done.
Death Stranding's all that matters.
To be honest,
so
with all the knowledge you've just done there, it is fine.
Homo ludens. Homo demons.
Now get pack you back in your box.
Bridget.
Let's turn the baby off.
Fragile.
Boo. It's always I've been Jules. You've been awesome. We'll speak to you soon. I'll turn you back on.
Bye.
There we go. Catch you later, guys.